So first of all, as I know that my team is listening, I have to thank you for kind of making this day happening. I also want to thank all the speakers that created this awesome content and put a lot of knowledge in it. It was very important for us that you kind of get real insights, something that you can use for yourself in your daily business. And this is also kind of my goal. What I want to give you, it's really the things that we are looking day in, day out with customers and the problems we are seeing and how we are adapting to it and working on it. So, future of lead generation and learnings of 200 B2B sales projects. So, short introduction, as we had it before, but still for the people who joined now, new to the session. My name is Peter Schlecht. I'm the founding partner of Artificial Link. And before I founded another sales company, actually sales agency, the SaaSco, main focus on lead generation via email. Then we turned it into an AI product for natural language generation and processing for customer success and sales. I sold the company and I also have a side project. So if you want to talk about brain implants, you're also welcome to speak with me about that. But today, the things what I want to tell you is what I've learned and together with my team and all the other teams from the 3-man startup, what I'm equally proud of, kind of helping them, making them new customers, to the Daimlers, to the ZF Friedrichshafen, to the Covestros, Screen Cloud. So most of the time, so most knowledge, and that's very important, kind of what we talk about later, it's kind of coming actually from, not most, B2B only. And it's kind of most of the time tech driven. So SaaS products, software. And it's most of the time kind of from companies between 15 people to 200 people. Actually, you most of the time can adopt it as you have to look at how big is your sales team and how big is actually the sub part of the sales team you're working with. And as most of the time, the teams are kind of separated in maximum 10 people with a sales leader, and then kind of you have a sales leader on top of that. So it's similar. It's very, very similar on what we see. So as we said, I'm also teaching sales. Is it from Singularity University über multiple startup initiatives, and very happy to work with the AAISP and also sales hackers, and have right now a lecture at the University of Applied Science about operational CRM. Funny, before I started this lecture, I didn't know the difference between an operational CRM, strategic CRM, and all things while working all the time with CRM. So all of you who don't have studied the knowledge of sales and marketing, you're learning while you're working and while you're testing it. Artificial Link, few words. As said, we have one thing, or like only two things what we are working on. The one thing is how to generate high quality leads. And number two, then how to convert them. Because how you generate these leads is also related to how well you can convert them into customers. We often say we create opinion leaders, what means we take over the LinkedIn profiles of a VP, an example, or a CDO, and help them to get more reach through content. Most of the time is that we take over the profile and get into these one-on-one conversations with the other sides and teach them how they have to do these conversations. What is a good conversation for them to build a relationship and to really make sales? That's what we are focused on. It's always the same problem. And the problem is following. You always have to decide between two things. It's a little bit like with development, where you have like quality, costs, and time, and you can always choose two. And the same is in sales. You always have kind of two things you can choose from: scalability, conversions, and complexity. When we take just one message, an example, if you just writing one single message to another person, you have very bad scale, but you probably have a very good conversion and you have low complexity, what you wanted. So two things: good, scalability, bad. But if you scale it to 10,000 and you still want to have very good conversion and you're really changing every message, then you have very bad or very high complexity. What's bad? Because it's high cost. And kind of actually we are sitting in between these three parts and trying to solve it as an agency for our customers. So how do I personally and we as a company see the future of lead generation? The major shift, I think, especially like for our audience today, as I see most of you and all the people I've talked to have been especially advanced in their knowledge about social selling and the sales environment. And this is actually what we do most of the time. We are not working kind of with the companies who are not very good in sales. We are working most of the time with the companies who are already very good and now try to get even way better. And so I make this very short. It's the shift. Yes, we are shifting to digital. Surprise, surprise. Never heard it before. Number two is still, but it's not surprise, surprise when we listening back to Sebastian, what he said, like that we are on this curve on people adopting to digital sales and adopting to Xing and LinkedIn. We are on it too, just in the beginning of this curve. Then there's a long way to go for a lot of organizations. Another we've already also heard before is kind of this shift from brands to persons. It's way more important kind of how you present yourself as a person than what the brand is doing. Sure, the brand is still helping, but it's not that kind of you're informing yourself when you get in interaction with the brand just about their PMs, also the press releases, and you most of the time have some one-on-one interactions. And this is why all of the salespeople are becoming way more important. The reason for being then your digital presence, not only kind of your business card, it's also a measurement of your reputation. And for the old world, I always then tell you would never leave your business card uncompleted. Nobody would do that. Think about it, transfer it to your profile, fill it out, put some effort in it. I'll tell you kind of how to do it good later, shortly. And work on your reputation and work on your network. Another one, and this is when you want to think about kind of what's coming next, as we've heard about kind of the problems with channels, is we first see in B2B that B2B is always following B2C. We see it like with videos, we see it kind of that everything is getting way more instant. We get from like this very unsynchronous communication to a very more synchronous communication. And we see like it's also like more video, something that hasn't happened before. When we think about kind of stories as a feature is coming into LinkedIn. So first it happened in B2C and then it happens in B2B. Another thing is what we see that all the interactions are getting way more playful. So it's okay right now to create something with less quality and be more creative about it. When I mean less quality, I mean you haven't paid 20,000 for the image film. But what we also see is like in these less quality videos. So also like when you look at this video, yeah, we did some efforts here with lightning, blend, the picture to have a good representation. It's not good enough anymore kind of to have that quality, because kind of also the tools to create in this low quality, or like, let's say not low quality, in this low budget productions, higher quality increased dramatically. Is it lightning? Is it that you have a gimbal? Is it that you're using a tool like Canvas to improve the content you're putting out for your customers? The second following is that here in the European Union, we are always following the US. So what means for you, you just have to look what is happening in the B2C space. And then if you don't want to do that, you're just looking what is actually the United States are doing. So we, in example, see also some movements away from platforms into other platforms. What kind of means we're more distributed, like in the blockchain, into platforms based on blockchains. And when you look like into the tools, kind of is it annotation of the conversations, or is it like support, like Gong.io in the one-on-one conversations you're doing with your customers, or is it like video? You always, or most of the time, the developments first in the US and us as followers. Another thing, what we see in the US, what is happening way more than we have here, is that you have a stronger data-driven sales. And you have a stronger split between all the channels. To put up one tip before, you have to nail one channel. And it actually doesn't matter which channel it is. If you have an awesome inbound calling or inside Salesforce that is calling all day long and this channel is working for you, great, do it. If you have an outside Salesforce that is running from house to house, or like from house to house, kind of from company to company, what you cannot actually imagine today anymore. I've never bought anything from a person that just went into our office without an appointment, but this happened earlier. Even if this is working for you, it's fine. Then think about how you scale it, because that's your job. And then when you have that, add all the other channels. There are so many channels. If you haven't added a new channel in the last year, you should be aware that you're missing something. And this could be kind of test out from, and don't shoot me on that, TikTok to it can be that you're using WhatsApp, adding into your mix. It's like this omni-channel. I think you will have still the platforms kind of seeing LinkedIn in the middle as a major driver, but then it's about this omni-channel approach. We already talked with Björn also in the morning about that. What we also see in the US, and this is, I think, also important for us, that the sales itself is changing. Originally, the sales stayed kind of in one of these channels. So it stayed on the telephone, you called multiple times. And now we see a way higher transition between the channels. Means you start on LinkedIn, you then probably transfer to telephone, switch into WhatsApp, switch probably back to LinkedIn, or this person even like going on your website and then switching into kind of self-service sales process. You should be capable today with your Salesforce to switch between digital and the analog sales. And not only in one direction, what has been like the last step of we are digital and going into the analog world, like with calls and meeting, and then we're signing the deal. No, it's also kind of after you've called that the person can jump back and actually always deciding. The customer is the driver. He can decide what he's choosing at which step of the qualification circle. So I want to present a few learnings I have. And there are mainly 4 misconceptions I see when we are working with our customers. The first misconception, what we are seeing is actually market and pricing. So when we are thinking about that, we had before these great graphics from Christoph Jans, what we saw from Fresh Sales, that depending on what are you selling, so it means kind of how much you're earning with your product, how expensive it is, and kind of to what quantity you're needing to make your quota. And you have to choose wisely. So if you remember correctly, it's like about the deers, or it can be like mouse. And you should be very well, again, Christoph Jans, go on his website, read the whole article. You have to understand what are you hunting. Are you hunting deers? Are you hunting rabbits? It's like to understand that, because regarding this, when we look further, it has implications on your sales process. So when we look back, Connor, on the how does our pricing look like for a product? It was perfect because before it was on the y-axis, now it's on the x. But I hope that doesn't matter for you. And then we have the costs of our sales. So actually, what are we seeing is that our costs are doing something like that. And then we have a major increase. So, and when we actually look at it, then you should know in which part you are. So when we look at again, at the rabbits, or we look at the deers, I hope, please be kind with me with my awesome drawing skills. And then kind of in this part, we have more the whales. I'm not painting like in this part. I'm not painting now a whale. I'm very nice for you. So what's happening actually that here you have inside sales. And what you have here is actually marketing, what you have. And this is so, if you want it like that, you have like here a no-touch sale. This is why never someone called you and asked you for, hey, do you want to buy this awesome app for 50 cents? No. And then we're going kind of into low touch, into a high touch. And what actually here is happening, that you have an outside sales force. So what we are looking is this part and trying to improve inside Salesforce and converting a lot of people. So when we go back to the market and the pricing, is what people don't understand is what is the right sales channels for me to use with depending on my pricing. And what they also don't understand, it's kind of to adapt the pricing to their customers. If I am an enterprise, it costs me so much kind of to implement a tool from you that you, if your pricing until a specific point doesn't matter too much. The next point, what we are seeing is the misunderstanding of the profile. And when I'm talking about the profile, I mean about your personal LinkedIn profile. So when we are optimizing the profiles of our customers and helping them, they are normally starting with a CV. So we say, hey, this is not a CV. It's like you're not trying to get a job. You're not trying to impress your boss anymore. And then our customer thinks, oh, okay, it's a sales profile. So what they're putting on is actually really hard sales information. And from their side, what's kind of they're offering and kind of what they kind of customers they want to have. But actually it should be one step further. It shouldn't be from your side of kind of what you try to sell. You have to think about what your customer tries to find. So it can be similar information. Yeah? Who are you an expert for? Or what is the field? What do you get actually from insights? And regarding this, you then can adapt. If you look as a customer on your profile, does your customer understand what are you doing? What are you the expert for? And very important, what can your customer get out of you? That's it. Everyone is very egoistic and tries to find the best for themselves. So they want to know, is it worth for them to get in contact with you? Very important. And they also want to know, what should they do? I mean, you said, yeah, sure, write me. But then write it. Do a great kind of call to action about what people should do. And the third misunderstanding is actually the sales cycles and funnels. So if I jump back to great drawings, number 2 is what we are seeing customers, they either have funnels that look like this, and hopefully in the bottom something is coming out. So by the way, here you have the different stages. So this is kind of when you try to attract the people, and then you kind of converting them and talk more about kind of qualification, and then it's probably negotiation, then in the end, and then you finally make some cash. Or their funnels actually look like that. What's happening on number 2 or number 1 is that it's typically the startup and they not create enough contacts. You have to increase your outreach. What's with number 2 is happening that they are using automation tools and just writing everything because they thought, oh, I have to increase my outreach. So what's actually happening is that nobody kind of accepting it, and then they are kind of actually, as it's a very shitty outreach, means that then at the further stages it's okay for them, but still the outcome is very small and could be way better. So how actually a funnel should look like, sure, it differs from every company and every industry, But this is a funnel. You have to understand your funnel regarding what are the steps. So what are the what are the percentages you're getting from one step to another step? And this could be like no interest, to low, and then well qualified. So this has budget, in example, and then making the money. And then you should also see if you have there are many forms of funnels. So it could be at one specific point, just going low, or it depends. Yeah, it's very different. What means if you're not measuring your funnel, you cannot improve it. Measure it and understand at which part of the funnel you have problems. What's also important is that this is time. It takes some time to convert people. So often customers are coming to us and say, yeah, let's please work together. And what results do you want to have? And then they say reasonable results, like we want to have 10 new customers, and we're expecting for that to needing 30 or 50 very well conversations in the beginning, and then we get 20 with budgets and real interests, and then we're converting 10 into customers. Okay, very great. What's your typical sales cycle? So the sales cycle here, the time, what do you need? Oh, they say we need about 6 months, but it could be cool. So when should we have results? Yeah, in 2 months. I say, okay, this probably will not work. So you have to adapt. You have to understand that each of these steps needs some time. But it also means if you haven't in the beginning already have enough people in your funnel, they will not turn out in the end. So you have to take time for every step. So often what we also see is that people try very awkward transitions. It's about, I think what you're doing is very interesting. So by the way, a very bad outbound message. And I think we could have something in common regarding you're doing social selling, and I think I have a great tool that could help you to increase the productivity of your tool. Then we make a big step and first say, okay, this could be interesting. What I also have sometimes, it's that someone saying me, oh, this was a very great event. Would great to have an exchange about sales. And I say, okay, let's talk about sales. So we're talking about low interest from my side. And then the next step, the next message, what I'm getting is, do you want to buy something? It's oh, that's too fast. Okay, by the way, I don't want to talk with you anymore. So think about to transfer each person from step to step to step, not over jump it. And when you do the transitions, that's also important, don't lose level. What do I mean with that? It's sometimes people are not reacting. You're even in a high interest environment, you're here already with your customer, and then the people stop reacting. So what you should do or you shouldn't do, don't lose your level and write this person, no, oh, please, let us talk. It would be so great. Always be informal, follow up, and go with that. And this is a next thing. I said, keep the level as the transition. And now it's the biggest part of what I can actually give to you. I think I even made a slide for it. Follow up, discipline, and structure. So if I can give you these things, or let's actually, I would also be willing to erase discipline and structure. just give you this one point. Yes, you have to do the follow-ups, and if you do it, to keep the level. So sometimes just send in question mark, sometimes because you're also a very busy person, yeah, not kind of look up and say, hopefully it would be so great if we could talk, but constantly follow up. If this person has been interested in your service and showed interest, I think he is reliable, and it's okay that he owes you at least a decision. This is how I see it. And I'm following up kind of nearly endlessly. So when I'm an example showing kind of my students, kind of this follow-up process, sometimes I have 20 follow-ups. I always kind of try to make it like with a distance, kind of with some separations in time, and then kind of have a little bit of story in it, but I'm not stopping because I want to have this decision. And this is so important. And you need a process for that, and you need to be disciplined, and you need a structure for that. It means kind of more or less a good CRM, and always keep going. Please remind that. You will see massive increases in sales. This is the most often thing that we see with our customers when we are giving them a lot of well-qualified appointments, and then they have called and we ask them afterwards, how does it went? Oh, it went great. It was very interesting. It was like a lot of interest, and I think we should meet. And then when we ask them what happened next, and then nothing is happening. So you have to continue with that. So number 4, misunderstanding of tactics and templates. And this is actually a little bit going also into this direction. As we already discussed, kind of the channels all have their flaws. Right now, we are the biggest fan of social selling. So jump on it, work on it. But what you have with each of the channels is also that someone is coming saying, this is a great template, this is how you should do. And then you start doing it. And then you forget to understand why you're doing it. It works in the beginning, and then the conversions are going down, 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 down. You always have to ask why you're doing it, and does it make sense, kind of, that you're doing it, as the channels are transitioning. So one example is kind of LinkedIn, when we take now, or like Xing. Like, has it been enough, like 2 years ago, to just say, hi, I'm Peter, I want to sell something, and you had good conversions? It's kind of, you needed like a year ago, and more the point of, would like to discuss a specific topic with you. This worked like a year ago. It's not working today anymore. What's working kind of today is kind of to offer more insights and to give a real value. This is the most common thing that you don't see any specific, that people don't, take care. They're not trying to provide any value. So what they're taking templates, what they Googled, and then are using it. And then probably even they work in the beginning, they forget that kind of there's some turnover in these things. Regarding a question, what CRM or tool do you recommend for setting up constant reminders to follow up with a potential customer? So this is your CRM. If you want it very easy, like also tools like Gmail have like, please put on kind of this email later and remind me of that. Regarding LinkedIn, what you can do, you can create a bookmark in your bookmark, list in bookmarks bar, and say to follow up with this person, and then you can kind of click and move the person into this follow up. Then you have a link direct into the conversation, so you're not forgetting it. But as you already anticipated, Andre, it's a CRM is actually the right tool and environment for that. And also CRM, depending on who are you targeting, who's your customers, whatever you want to do with them. So look into the channels you're using when you're deciding which CRM you decide for, and also look into the pricing. Start cheap and then later get into the expensive business like Salesforce of this world. Also see how complex is your sales. Start easy, start something that's working for you. And CRM, it needs some enforcement in the beginning, but then if kind of the adoption still is very low, change it to the next one. It's like, it's also different from team to team, different from product to product. Ask other people who are in your industry, who have kind of scaled before, which tool they are using in the moment and why. Very much. In the end, it's kind of the same tools what you hear all over again and again and again. But as said, look into your channels and then see also into the complexity of the tools. So to jump back into misunderstanding of tactics and templates, it's the same thing as like the pure content playbook. It's dead, yeah. And we hope that kind of LinkedIn and Xing as a sales environment is not dying in the near future. So all of us be responsible with the people we are writing, we are outreaching, and how much we are outreaching. People misunderstanding kind of how automation works. You shouldn't use it as a leverage tool for kind of your very bad conversion rates. What you should kind of maximum use is better don't use it at all. It's like if you know kind of these 15 people really have something in common and you want to write each of them, but actually 15 people or even 30 or 40 people, you can copy and paste. And we will see why message is failing. Normally, when you copy and paste and kind of write something in person, it's more effective from this side. So don't leverage your good examples that are working very well, not the ones who are very bad. So, and there is a solution for that, actually, how to improve. And what we are saying is actually Agile Sales. So what do I mean? It's the best environment you can have to test. So what you actually are doing and what you actually should do is that you always have a little bit like a matrix, if you want it like that. And the one is kind of the person. So it's mainly about title. And the other one is about industry. And the third one is about, you could call it story, or you could call it content, or as we heard before, problem. So what you actually are doing all the time is that you're looking into your matrix and are deciding which point, whatever, is right for you in the moment regarding the three things: industry, title, so person, if you want like that, and problem, add here, person. And then decide, okay, probably it's about conversion rates. That's most important for them. And I want to talk with my tool right now in the industry of aviation. And the right title are probably a VP level of the development. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And then you're testing different points and look into how good are your different conversion rates. And the one point, when you find one that is like very good, like you have like a 40%, let's write it here, like conversion rate, instead especially for your story, yeah, then you know kind of how to improve. And you're always testing in these different fields and test and test and test and test and test. Salesforce, LinkedIn, and Xing are the best environments because you know your customers and you can segment them very well to do an agile sales approach. You have to test, ask your customers, and really try to do something good for them. I have to improve my speed a little bit. And when you do that and you are executing, it's mainly about the details. And details mainly in how to write a good message. What we see is if you fuck up details in your sales processes. So this could be like a double empty line after your name, or you have like this typical space before the comma after the name. These are failures that can really destroy your funnel. So you always have to know your numbers for each step and then see where am I losing people. And you should also ask yourself, when we think about back to the funnel, which step can I remove? Because actually most overseen step, an example is kind of the step from, yes, I want to talk to you, to a real call. There you have a conversation. And you have mostly a conversion of like, if you're bad or just let it go, it's 50%. So you're losing 50% of the customers in a trivial step. But if you're after it, you're still only at 90% or 95%. Still, you're using every 20th customer in just after they said already they want to talk to you and call to you, to just make a call. And then it's mainly about the details. It's kind of, is it easy to make an appointment with you? Yeah. Are there some writing failures? It's kind of, how do you look like? It's especially in your message. You really have to work in detail. And this is actually number one. And this is something what I, at last point for the last 5 minutes before I'll take any further questions, if you have some of them, want to look into, is how to write a good message and how to do an invite and how to write a good email message, or kind of good message on Xing similar. So writing a good message means, for me, focusing first of all 80% on this part of the sentence, what you can see when someone is getting this message. This part needs to have already some insights. So when you see here, okay, this was now a very easy one. I hope kind of you can read it from the size. Here, Andre Crudo is writing CXO B2B Sales and Marketing Summit works. I mean, that's an easy one for me to accept. Now we have someone, here's the first one. So it's now in German. Dear Mr. Schlecht, my colleagues actually surprised me. So this is at least I like this part, as I think about why. When we have anyone else, does your company need a talented software developer? I mean, that at least is for me, okay, it's a one person, and I know what he's talking about. I was listening to you at Asia Berlin Summit. Okay, this is also an easy accept kind of for me. So it's the first. Let's see if we have also any not as perfect example. And this could be kind of what we have here. It's kind of, this is, dear Jürgen, I'm very sorry if you're listening to that, and I don't want to call out. It's just my personal opinion. A beautiful morning, your profile showed me in the rubric network And I see like this person haven't looked at my profile. This person, most probably, this person is not interested. So probably I will ignore it. I think about, do I actually click this see more button? If I click this see more button to translate it, so there is an overlap in our professional environment. And then we have here a failure in the writing. What do you think? I would be very happy for a short exchange. About what, Jürgen? I have no clue why you're not writing my name. What are you not writing about? What you want to talk about? It's like, I'm very sorry. I probably will not accept that. So I got suggested to Claudia Raber-Möning. I know other experts of your branch. What I have with that, it's like, if she was writing kind of which branch she's meaning or industry, I could be very accepted and accept this message. And I would be happy to know more about it. But kind of with this is so general, I don't know what to do with it. But first of all, kind of let's see what Agile Summit is talking. My machine, interesting it. I'm interested in you too. Thanks for writing something individual. So put 80% of your work into this first sentence, what you see, because to see more, you already need a conversion step, and that's actually kind of clicking on the message to understand more. And then write a person, especially relevant and meaningful things. What does I get out of this message? So she's writing, it could be probably also a no. So that, but I'm very sure that you say yes to my connection request. No. Sorry, Monica. And at least it's not individual enough. It's like, I don't want to accept that. So what I mean is, be relevant, be meaningful, and write what does the other person gets out of it, or especially if he's not getting anything right, exactly what you want. Right? If you want to have a job, write that you want to have a job. I'm fine with that. Yeah. If you need, and write someone like he's a distant friend of yours you respect. On top of that, only have the best in mind. The top 5 salespeople I've met are actually the finest and most honest people I've ever met. So I'm often referring to one of our speakers. So Sven, he actually, when I talked with each other, he said, no, you shouldn't buy this one thing. You shouldn't buy our service. And these are the reasons why. This actually got the reason for later at a specific point for a long-lasting relationship in a business relationship. This is something how you build trust. You have to have the best in mind for the people. And this is the one thing what drives you. Yeah, sometimes it's hard for especially salespeople to understand that. And because it's kind of, they only have the one product. But if you don't feel your product and you don't think your product is doing something meaningful, switch to another one. Go to someone else. I mean, salespeople are the most requested people next to tech people, but actually even more requested. If you're good in sales, you can also sell other things. Nobody's pushing you to sell some shit. If you think it's shit, don't sell it. And if you think it's not fitting to a person, don't sell it to this person. It's like, it's the worst thing to do. And in the end, please put yourself into the shoes of the other person. So think about, if you're reading this message, would you answer your own message? Most of the time, the answer is no. Only if you answer the message with your own message would answer it, then it's ready to get sent out. Often it's good enough to sleep over it for a night. And based on that, All of you who want to have the recordings, there are many more things you have to look into when you're writing a message. Writing a message is a little bit an art and a science on both sides. So really put some efforts in it. At the end, you also always should have a call to action on your profile and in your message. And a bad call to action is, oh, if you're interested, this would be very nice. That's not a call to action. Call to action is to say to people what they should do, because studies have shown, and also our measurements have shown, that you have a higher conversion rate. So what is the call to action? My call to action for you is, if you want to share knowledge and want to learn more, or have great sales knowledge to share, please get in contact with us. If you want to become our customer, you're more than happy to get in contact with us. What does it mean? Please write me on LinkedIn. Write me a message, send me a contact request with a good message. That's very important, or I will not accept it. And third of all, we are searching great salespeople, especially senior, but also if you're a junior and you want to learn a lot, or you even think you're probably on a partner level, and keep up. And then please get in contact. We have open positions. I want to thank at the end. This is, by the way, also very important. Yeah, show something where they can contact too. I prefer LinkedIn, but you're also happy to contact me via email, or if you contact Tobias. In the end, I want to thank again all of your attendees. I'm very happy that we had such a successful day together, and we already got so many positive responses, and we had so many people kind of still staying in the session and have been in all the other sessions before. I've learned a lot, and I hope you too. I wish you all the best, good luck, good fortune. Times also will change again if it's hard, but it's only getting better as we've learned. So thanks again to my team. Thanks again to the speakers, and looking forward to get in contact you afterwards. Please do so. Get in contact. Thank you very much. And if there are no more questions, I would close the day.